Check 1, 2, 1. Check 1, 2, 1, 2. And we're all the way up. One, two. Check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2. One, two, three.
Robbie. I am the XK3000 humanoid robot.
Why are you talking like that? This is a great costume, Robbie. I bet I can make one too. Let's see. You used a funnel for your hat and a battery for your chest. Robbie? Robbie, are you in there, Robbie? Do you want to play or not?
Go away, Megan. This is not a game. I really am turning myself into a robot.
Huh? You can't really turn yourself into a robot.
Well, I'm really gonna try. Robots never get yelled at and punished. They always do things right.
Well, how's the funnel gonna help you do things right?
This is not just an ordinary funnel. This is the amazing Think-O-Matic, the brain that always knows what to say and do.
Jarlets are gonna help you think?
Those are the amazing Audiomatic filters that only hear nice words.
What's the battery on your chest for?
That is the amazing unbreakable Heart-O-Matic that...
Check 1 2, check 1 2 3. Check 1 2. One, two, three. One, two, three.
Dimension sink to the bottom, so I don't think you'd really like to be a robot.
See, I hadn't thought about all that. I'd sure miss swimming and eating and laughing, but I sure wouldn't miss feeling angry and worried and hurt.
Sometimes when money's tight and people are fussing with each other, things aren't fun. When people have problems, they get worried, and sometimes they don't handle the feelings well. That's why your mom and dad argue more than they used to. Then when they argue, you and your sister get nervous, and you two don't handle your feelings well. You and your sister fight, which bugs your mom and dad, and because they're already upset, they yell at you even more.
It sounds like everyone's going around and around and around in a big circle.
I just wish it would stop.
Robbie, not having money or losing a job is a grown-up problem. It's not something you can fix. Your job is to be a kid. Work hard at school, obey your mom and dad, do your chores, and have fun swimming and playing with your friends like Megan. Things won't always be this way. Hopefully your mom will find another job and then money won't be such a problem anymore.
I wish money grew on trees.
Money isn't the answer to everything, Robbie. Everybody still feels angry from time to time, even if your mom has a new job. Life changes, but your folks are still here to take care of you and listen to you. You can always ask them questions about what's happening and tell them how you feel. You can talk to your grandma and me too.
I can't talk to my grandma and grandpa anytime I want. They live way up in Missoula, Montana.
If you felt you couldn't talk to your parents or grandparents, Megan, you could talk to your teacher or your school counselor.
Talking does help, Grandpa. I feel better already.
You know what I'd miss most if my grandson turned into a robot?
What, Grandpa?
Hugs. I don't think robot arms would give very good hugs.
I don't think so either.
Group hug, group hug.
You know, I don't want to be a real robot anymore, but I do think it would make a fun game. Let's make a costume for you, Megan.
Yes.
Thanks, Grandpa.
You're welcome. Ah, that's my grandson.
Slide. I haven't seen you around for a while.
Well, I had to move. Third time this season. I can't settle anywhere.
I thought you were at the big house in the country.
I was. I had found a nice quiet dry spot under a porch in a pile of bricks that had washed under there. Well, first thing you know, some woman came in and started throwing those bricks left and right. I stayed quiet until she got out from under the porch, but I knew I couldn't stay, so I had to move on again. When I came out, she started screaming and chasing me with the hoe. Why was she screaming? I'm the one who's had to move 3 times. I can't get any peace, and sand itches.
Doesn't it, though? Give me nice, cool, slick mud any day. I had to move again, too. What a life. I've been with my relatives, but there are so many of them that they really get on my nerves. There's not enough to eat either. The other night I tried to snap up a snack and almost ate my little nephew. To tell you the truth, I have really been feeling washed out and drained.
Tell me about it. All that water sure dampens your spirits.
Of course, it is better now. It was so bad during the flood that all my relatives gathered at the highest, driest spot we could find. We all looked up at the rain clouds and chanted together, "Lug it, lug it, lug it."
Didn't help, did it? My mother always told me there'd be times like this. Oh, for the days of lying on a warm stone in the sunshine.
Some days I think I'm going nuts. I can't concentrate at school. My mind just floats around. Well, let me tell you something kind of strange. I slept so badly the other night. I had nightmares about currents and whirlpools and logs floating in water. I tossed and turned all night. And just between you and me, I really feel stupid about this. Once I woke up and I was sucking my thumb like a baby.
I never did suck my thumb, even when I was a baby.
Of course you didn't. You don't even have hands, you dummy.
Hey, don't call me names. All you do is complain anyway. Why don't you just grow up and get on with life like everyone else? You act like you are the only one with problems. Complain, complain, complain.
I don't like it when you talk to me like that. I'm leaving. I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to tell you what's going on in my life, and you're not even going to listen. I'd call me a complainer and a whiner. I'm not.
Who is complaining around here?
Who's there?
Why, it's me, the wise old owl. I was just passing by, and I saw Slip slapping his feet and hopping out of here in a great hurry. He said you are a dumb snake, and he never wants to see you again. Did you fight with your friend?
Ha! He's not my friend. He's just a big old whiner. I've got enough troubles of my own without listening to him.
Sounds like yet another case of flood-fed-upness. There has been an epidemic of it along the river.
What's flood-fed-upness? Sounds ridiculous to me.
I can describe the symptoms to you. The first one is extreme irritability, being extraordinarily cross and grumpy. You certainly have that, and so does Slip.
So what? I have a perfect right to feel that way. What's the big deal anyway? I don't think you're so wise, old owl. Shoo! Fly away!
I wish you could hear yourself slide. I have plenty of work to do without arguing with you.
Oh, all right. Just wait. Tell me more about flood-fed-upness.
Well, if you'd like. Can't concentrate lately. Having trouble.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this MIMHtraining.com presentation of mental health and food allergies with Dr. Tipu Sultan. He has extensive experience for the last 37 years treating neuroimmune disorders effectively, presenting as ASD, depression, ADHD, ADD, OCD, bipolar, Tourette's syndrome, anxiety, brain fog, and several others. He's done several case studies, and he will present those today for us. I'm glad you could all be here with us to see Dr. Sultan. He's also got an upcoming web conference with us on September 13th at 1:30 called Understanding Autism Spectrum Disorders. Dr. Sultan, we really appreciate you being here with us today. Folks, just below the video window, you can see a link to ask a question. We'll take questions at the end of the session, but if you want to, you can type those questions in at any time. Go ahead and click and type those in. And at the end of the session, we would like for you to do the evaluation. Again, just below that questions button is a link to do the evaluation. We'll send a follow-up email with that evaluation link in case you don't get to it today. But if you want to do it at the end of the session, that would be great. And now I'll turn it over to Dr. Sultan.
Thank you very much. It is my great pleasure to be here today. Just a little technical stuff. Okay. All right. So it's my great pleasure to be here today talking to you about one very important aspect of chronic illness which is often overlooked, and that is the role of food allergy in both physical and mental illness. Since our topic is mental illness and food allergy, so my emphasis will be more into the mental aspects and food allergy rather than the physical aspects or physical manifestations of food allergy. First of all, let me introduce myself. See, I'm board certified in pediatrics. And how did I get interested into environmental medicine? That's a very interesting question. I started my practice in this metropolitan area in 1975. And in 1977, I developed severe asthma. So I did what any prudent patient would do. I found an allergist with the best qualification in town, went to him and I was allergy tested, scratch on the back. And then I was put on allergy injections, and I was taking for almost 2 years without any relief. And I was put on 6 different breathing medications. One day, I got a brochure from the American Academy of Environmental Medicine talking about how patients with asthma may not get better until the food allergy is taken care, or how arthritis could be related to foods and chemicals in our environment, and how the children are made hyperactive with food colorings and sugar, etc. So the topic appeared to me very interesting, so I decided to join the conference. They were showing at that time a new method of allergy testing called serial dilution allergy testing. If some of you have had the allergy testing done, most likely what had happened was that you had probably a scratch on the back or on the forearm, which was right in 10-15 minutes, and that was the end of it. And that doesn't give us as much information. And they were talking about a new method of allergy testing called serial dilution allergy testing, where what you do is, instead of just testing one standard dilution, what you do is you take a strong allergy extract from here, and then you make weaker and weaker and weaker dilutions. Now you start testing from the weaker dilutions, this is number 4 is the weaker dilution, to the strongest dilution until skin shows a characteristic Wheeling response. From here, you can calculate what the patient's treatment dose is. So I volunteered myself to be tested, and they tested me on house dust. That evening, I felt much better. So I asked the physician who was testing me or demonstrating that how come I felt better. He said, I think we hit your treatment dose. And I said, it was nonsense. How can be somebody test and you reach the, and it starts helping you? Because my experience was taking, because as a pediatrician, I used to give allergy injections from other allergists, and I hardly ever saw any improvement even after years of treatment. But anyway, next day, they were showing me how to do food allergy testing and found that I was allergic to milk. So when I went to the conference, I was taking 6 medications. When I came out, I was taking none. And that was my journey into the field of environmental medicine, where the scope of allergy is altogether different than what we have the traditional view. Here, if you see on the top right in here are the symptoms. These are the symptoms with which the patient presents, like asthma, hay fever, sinus, arthritis, colitis, depression, ADHD, etc., etc. But typically these problems are treated with the medications. Sinus with sinus medication, breathing with breathing medication, ADD with Ritalin and related medications. On the other hand, the environmental medicine said that there are causes for chronic illness, including both the physical and mental illness, and those things I've listed in the bottom right here, which could be allergy, could be infections, could be hormonal, could be nutritional. So a detailed history can give you an idea as to what are the causes for patients' chronic illness, for example, depression, anxiety, ADHD, ADD, migraine headaches, so on and so forth. So out of all these things, what I am focusing now is the element of food allergy listed right on the top right line. So we'll talk about how food allergy is diagnosed and how it is treated. So before we do that, so here comes, because many of you have had perhaps allergy testing done, so I want to give you a little comparison between environmental medicine approach to allergies versus the traditional allergies. You see, in traditional allergy is primarily limited to inhalants like dust, molds, pollens, animal dander, etc. And in environmental medicine, it says that anything in our environment, what you eat, what you breathe, what you come in contact with, inhalants, foods, chemicals, all can affect the body and create chronic illness. And in the traditional allergy, the scope of illness is limited to coughing, wheezing, sneezing, and itching, and hives, etc. In environmental medicine, any organ can be involved and cause chronic illness. For example, it can give you headaches, can give you arthritis, give you colitis, can give you fibromyalgia, give you chronic fatigue, so on and so forth. The traditional allergy testings are not as sensitive, and with the new allergy testing, for example, one of the thing I talked about was serial dilution allergy testing. They are much more sensitive, and in the traditional source of allergy, no other factors are considered. On the other hand, environmental is not everything environment, but our environment, nutrition, hormones all interact together and produce illness. So when you have a chronic illness, we will look at the environmental, nutritional, hormonal, dietary, all those factors which could be responsible for your problems. Now, we often hear about healthcare crisis, that we are spending more and more money. So I'll give you first a little perspective on that. Dr. Theronji Randolph, he was the pioneer in the field of environmental medicine. He's called father of environmental medicine. And in his book, Alternative Approach to Allergies, he writes, if money could buy health, the United States would be the healthiest country on this earth. And I gave you some total expenditures from 79, how they're going up. In 2015, it is $3.2 trillion, and still these figures are going continuously up and up. So here raises one question, that what is key to health? Is the money going to buy us health? The answer is absolutely no. The golden key to health is not how much money we spend, but it is the path that leads to treating the cause that will help us get rid of our symptoms and get rid of our drugs. And technically, when you get rid of symptoms and get rid of the drugs, obviously get rid of the physician also. You give a new level of health which is not possible through symptomatic treatment. Just think about, and I ask you one question. You or your loved ones, how many people are using pain medicines, sinus medication, bronchial medication, high blood pressure medication, digestive medications, and nerve medications, including insomnia, etc. So I just put on these 5 categories. When I present this question to the audience, I usually see that more than 50% of people raising their hands that they or their loved ones are using some of these medications, which are purely symptomatic and not going to do anything to the underlying cause, and you're stuck with medicines for years and years. Now, let's talk about the subject of food allergy. Now, I'll present 2 cases which will pinpoint the role of food allergy. Now, this is a 39 years old woman whom I saw with stuffy nose, which gone over 21 years, severe diarrhea, distended abdomen, severe fatigue after meals, including alcohol and sweets for 2 years, and recurrent yeast infections for 8 years. This 39 years old, symptoms don't look at the symptoms and symptoms and symptoms. Depression for 2 years, severe mood swings for 2 years, muscle cramping in calves for 2 years, tinnitus for 2 years, nervous stomach after eating a lot of carbohydrates for 2 years. So one of the things that we looked in was the food allergy and inhalant allergies, because sinus respiratory, you look into dust and mold allergy that we found that she was sensitive to. And then we did the feeding test, which showed 3+ reaction to milk and egg. Now, how do the food allergy testing? And we'll talk a little bit more in detail, but I'll just give you an introduction in here. The best way, the gold standard of food allergy testing is that you eliminate a food, and then after 4 or 5 days a week, you reintroduce the food in a specific way and see if it causes any symptoms. If it causes any symptoms, that establish the diagnosis of food allergy. And the important thing is that it's not just one time you did it. The feeding test is a test in which you can reproduce symptom after symptom, symptom after symptom, testing after testing. So there's so you know for sure that it is that food is causing those symptoms. So anyway, so 3+ is real severe allergy to milk and egg. 2+ is to corn and yeast. 2+ means that food is bothersome and I would not like to eat once in 4 or 5 days. Those are my symptoms. And 3+ is when the symptoms so bad that you needed something to terminate the reaction, take some medication, like for example, for asthma or other ways like using Alka-Seltzer Gold or baking soda to wash out the allergic reaction. And 1+ is a very small allergy, means if you eat apple and sneeze a couple of times, yes, you're allergic to it. And if you can have once in 4 or 5 days, sneeze a couple of times, what's the big deal? So this is how we rate the food reactions. And when we did the elimination, for the first few days, she became more irritable, tired, weak, and stressed out. Why? We'll talk about that more in detail when we come to, because this is the main reason for this is that a lot of food allergy, when we talk about the nature of the food allergy, is really an addiction phenomenon. Just hold on to this at this point until we can get further into the seminar, and then I will explain more about addiction. So it takes 4 or 5 days, it takes 3 to 4 days for food to get out of the system. So during that time, the withdrawal symptoms, patients may have increased symptoms. By the end of the week, she felt generally better, and that's what I said about 4 days takes for the food to get out of the system. And when we tested, interestingly, milk produced her digestive symptoms, spacey feeling, sleepiness, and later on she commented that I was in such a fog after milk that I could not add numbers, and I felt if I had a hangover from milk. I mean, I know alcohol hangover, but alcohol hangover from milk, that's interesting. That's part of severe sensitivity. Eggs produce tiredness, sleepiness, rapid heartbeat, spacey feeling. Just look at this. Besides the other physical symptoms, look at the mental symptoms that were created during the testing in this case, and also the next case we'll be talking about. But it was not prolonged and not as severe as it was with milk. Corn produced digestive symptoms, including epigastric pain and gas. So when we took care of inhalant allergy like dust and mold allergy and foods, she markedly improved. And this is what we are talking about, is when you look for the underlying causes, many times you can treat the symptoms or clear up the problems without medicines and without surgery and without any other symptomatic therapies. Okay, now let's take this 62 years old woman. She presented with chronic fatigue for 10 years, general body aches for 4 years, poor concentration 6 years, asthma 3 years. And one of the things I will point out, and then in the beginning, it was introduced as a term, neuroimmune disorders. So I'm going to describe to you what this term neuroimmune disorder means. What it means is that there are some physical causes that affect the nervous system as well as the immune system. In the iceberg, if you saw, I put on asthma and arthritis and other things over there. So those causes, sometimes the neurosymptoms are more dominant: headaches, depression, memory, concentration, mood swing, ADHD, etc. And then other times the immune symptoms are more dominant, like asthma, hay fever, sinuses. And if it goes a little bit more haywire, then you start having autoimmune diseases like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, so on and so forth. So this is what is meant by neuroimmune disorders. So look in the past one and this one, you also see that the patients are presenting with physical symptoms and as well as neurosymptoms, and on testing see how we are producing the physical and as well as the nervous system symptoms. So she had 3+ reaction to eggs, milk, wheat, corn, sugar and yeast, and 2+ to soybean. Milk produced digestive upset, tiredness, sleepiness, and mental unalertness. Eggs produced headache, leg aches, fatigue, and mentally unalert. Sugar produced headache, mental confusion, difficulty breathing. Yeast produced leg aches, mental confusion, headache, difficulty in breathing. Wheat produced sleepiness and mental slowness and headache. Corn produced headaches, fatigue, and confusion. And soybean produced mental fuzziness. Effect of the elimination diet. For the first couple of days, she felt extremely weak and had headaches. Again, part of the withdrawal, as we talked about. On the 3rd and 4th day, she got even more weak and had headaches, leg aches, and backache. From the 5th day onwards, her leg aches and headaches improved significantly. So 6 months after the started treatment, this is what she had to report to me. I feel a lot better. I do not have chronic fatigue. I can think again. Imagine foods affecting your ability to think clearly. This is, I'm going to, and she used the one word, that the worst thing was the mental fog. I could not trust myself because I could not understand what people were saying. To me, it appeared that the brain was running on the speed of 20 miles, while other people were at the speed of 100 miles. Generally, people may use this term mental fog, which is really a mental fog, but the right term for this is called mental fag, F-A-G. You can look in the unabridged dictionary and you'll find the word fag, which refers to mental state. Think about when I'm listing these symptoms, if you have any of those symptoms. It pertains to headaches, poor memory, poor concentration, mental fatigue, irritability, mood swings, unable to perform, and your level of competence because you have gone these symptoms over a period of time, and then now they start interfering with your daily activity, family life, and career. Then I had, at that time, I had to give a lecture to medical students. So I asked her that what message will you give to the medical students? She stated, I'll tell them I was in the search of a solution for my chronic fatigue for 4 years, and I could not find anything. It is a blessing to feel better again. I hope it does not return because it's scary to go back to the same situation as before. Okay. So now let's talk about food allergy in more detail. You see, here we will, when we talk about food allergy, we'll be talking about those testing where we can demonstrate a cause and effect relationship between ingestion of a food, of a specific food, and the production of or accentuation of allergic symptoms. This relationship is not only will exhibit specifically, but it must be demonstrable repeatedly upon every occasion when the tests are performed correctly. This definition excludes foods which show skin reaction on testing or suspected food causing symptoms, but on proper feeding test you cannot demonstrate cause and effect relationship. Now, when people think about allergy, they think about if I eat apples and sneeze a couple of times, if I eat fish, my face swell up, if I eat peanuts, I have a wheezing attack, if I have some other nut, I fall on the floor. See, those kind of food allergies, we call them as obvious food allergy. They can be demonstrated repeatedly after each ingestion, but that really produces no diagnostic challenge. People know themselves. They do not need to go to the doctor to make the diagnosis. So the type of allergy that we get concerned is the hidden food allergy, the second kind, the hidden food allergy, or we also call it cyclical food sensitization. I'll explain to you why you call it cyclical. Okay. The obvious allergy we talked about, hidden food allergy is hidden from the patient, hidden from his family, and hidden from the medical profession in general. In this type of food allergy, the degree of sensitivity is related to the incidence of each food in the diet. If you eat a food more often than once in 4 days, you're likely to get sensitized to that. And what happens is that when you're eating certain foods repetitiously, for example, milk, egg, wheat, corn, sugar, yeast, soybean, we eat them so many times in a given day that it does not allow the food to be excreted from the body before we give the second challenge. And this repeated exposure push the body into a mask stage, so you cannot tell what food is causing the problem. For example, if milk is a major problem, you have milk today and have symptoms 3 days later, and because of the masking effect, you will not know that the milk I had 3 days ago, it caused the problem. For that, what you have to do, the best test is feeding test, in which you eliminate the food for 5 days, or preferably a week, and then you add in a specific way. You give them a large amount of food. For example, let's say when you test milk, okay? So you give, I'm talking about adults, 1 or 2 glasses of milk, wait an hour, see if you get any symptoms. If you don't get any symptoms, take half the amount, like one glass, an hour later. If no symptoms, take another glass of milk or so with the evening meal. And all 3 testing, if the test is negative, then you are not allergic to that food. And that is the gold standard of demonstrating or establishing presence or absence of food allergy. Okay. Then what happens if you're sensitive to a food? Okay, fine, you found today. Then is it a permanent food allergy or it is temporary? Most of the time, this allergy is temporary because if you avoid this food for say 3 to 6 months, you're going to develop tolerance to that. Then you can have once in 4 or 5 days and no problem. That's why we call this kind of food allergy as not an absolute state, but it is more of a temporary state. But if you start having the foods again repetitiously, you're going to resensitize yourself. So we talked about the term cyclic. So the hidden food allergy go through the cycle. The first cycle is the mask stage, hidden stage. Patient has headache, arthritis, colitis, whatever, but doesn't know the food is causing the problem. Then you go to when you eliminate the food, that's the second stage. You unmask your reactions, and then the third stage is, think about the cycle, just going slices. This third stage is when you add the food, people get an acute reaction. Now, if they keep avoiding it, slowly put the next slice and say increasing tolerance. Because the next slice on the circle where it says total tolerance. Now, you can have once in 4 or 5 days and no problem. But if you start eating again and again, the cycle will be completed and you will be masked and will start having your old problems or new problems, but you will not know that it is again happening because you've been eating that food more frequently. Okay, so this we went through, I already explained to you. Okay, one of the things we talked about was the nature of this hidden food allergy or cyclic allergy is the addiction. You see, everyone, let me ask you, either you or you may know some people that they have caffeine withdrawal headaches. If they don't have caffeine, they end up with a headache. And if they have caffeine, they're just fine. So what is happening in that is, if you say that this is a straight line, and when food you get addicted to, it gives you a little stimulatory phase, makes you generally feel better. And then when the levels start coming down, you start feeling little fatigue or feeling like that, needing something or irritable or headache. And then you have learned over a period of time that if you have your addictive food at regular intervals, you are generally symptom-free. But this is the line, and eventually it comes down like in here, and now it will take you, instead of 1 or 2 cups of coffee, now it may take you 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day to be in relatively symptom-free phase. And that's how people become caffeine-holics, and that's how people get chocoholics, and they'll milkaholics, and sugarholics, and so on and so forth. So this is the withdrawal. When you get into massive withdrawal, now when you even if you have your addictant, it doesn't get you to that relatively symptom-free phase to say that I'm okay. Then you may go to the doctor and say that I'm having headaches, let's say, for 5 years. But no. The problem started 15 years ago when you started drinking tea on a regular basis, or coffee on a regular basis. So this is, we have to understand, that's why this form of addiction, phenomenon, food allergy, cannot be diagnosed with immune testing, like testing antibodies for the foods and stuff like that, because because many of those times, if you do the feeding test, you come out to be negative. So the gold standard is eliminate and add the food and see what happens. Okay, so we talked about addiction. So the message in here is, a food that is eaten more than once in 4 days, you're likely to get addicted, and in other words, sensitized. And it may be responsible for any of the chronic ailments that you have. To know whether it is or not is very, very simple. You just avoid the food and introduce it and see if it causes any symptoms. So here I'm going to give you the purpose of this lecture bring awareness of the role of food allergy and describe the combined experience and nature of dynamic mechanisms of food allergy as observed by pioneers in the field of environmental medicine, and present a practical approach to the problem inherent in its recognition and management. Note, this presentation is based primarily upon direct clinical observations which have been made in the course of performing many thousands of deliberate feeding tests. That's what we call feeding tests, or long word is deliberate individual food tests, because you test only one food at a time, not, and making correlations from these test observations, the clinical course of the various allergic diseases. The nature of the diagnosed food allergy is not new to medicine, but we have not been in high-tech society. We have forgotten about the basics of clinical medicine. Hippocrates said, "It appears to me that they would search out the food befitting their nature. To many, this has been the commencement of a serious disease when they have merely taken twice a day the same food which they have been in custom of taking at once." So he was very close to our understanding of food allergy. Now we know that if you eat a food more than once in 4 days, then you are at a risk of developing sensitivity or food addiction to. Okay. Now, there are a few misconceptions I want to bring out. Number one is food allergy is rare. No, it is not. Food allergy must have immunological basis, and I explained to you that the real nature of food allergy addiction. So from immunological basis, those tests do not really correlate very well with the feeding test. You see, food allergy does not cause problems like arthritis, colitis, digestive upset, depression, hyperactivity, ADD in children, and many other systemic conditions as alleged by some people. Well, the answer is it does. I could go on and on with the case presentation where it shows cause and effect relationship between the patient and the environment, but that would lead us nothing to really talk about other subjects. So this is my clinical observation and the observation of many of my mentors, that the food allergy is a very important cause for chronic illness, including mental illness, you see. And this basis of misconception is that we are often told you can eat, drink, smoke, and breathe anything you want because we have a magic pill for everything. So I say, enjoy your pills. The key is look for the underlying cause. So my point of presenting environmental medicine and focusing on the food allergy part is that we should explore non-drug oriented approach to medicine for both physical and as well mental disorders. That's point number one. Medicine is beyond N2, D2 medicine. What does that mean? Name the disease, name the drug. Name the disease, name the drug. You got to go beyond that. And drugs and surgery. Expand your horizon. If the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail that you need to nail it down with one medicine or other or surgery. Remember, most fundamental ideas of science are essentially very simple and may be expressed in a language comprehensible to everyone, Albert Einstein. And I will now give you my 37 years of experience, and if you remember this, you will it will really help you to seek alternative treatment other than N2-D2 medicine. And that is, most chronic illnesses, I'm talking about including mental illnesses, result from environmental, nutritional, dietary, and hormonal factors. It cannot get simpler than that. And one of the greatest discovery made in the field of environmental medicine is that most mental symptomatology often explain on the basis of psychological phenomenon, it is not psychological but physical in nature. I'm talking about the serious kind of mental illness, which could be environmental, which could be food allergy, which could be chemical sensitivity, it could be hormonal, like low thyroid, low adrenals, low male hormones, low female hormones, so on and so forth. Or it could be nutritional, like various mineral deficiencies, vitamin deficiencies. We all know that low thyroid is a major cause for mental illness. This is standard medical knowledge. Standard medical knowledge is that B12 and folic acid deficiency can also cause mental illness. It is a common knowledge that mineral deficiencies like magnesium deficiency can give you a lot of mental symptoms. Magnesium is nature's tranquilizer. You see, so with the magnesium deficiency, you can get any cerebral symptom. You can get insomnia. You can get depression. You can get irritability, mood swings. That's all the symptoms that we are talking about, and optimizing that will help mental symptomatology. Okay. So next point is, take-home point, the departure from drug-oriented medicine into the biochemical and cause-oriented approach to medicine is badly needed. Develop the curiosity, get into the habit of asking, how do you know that you're right? If you're being prescribed aspirin or any other pain medication for a headache, you should be bold enough to ask the question, how come? Is it because I've got aspirin deficiency that I'm having a headache, or there's a real physical cause for that? And unless you raise these questions, physicians are not going to look into the real causes for your chronic ailments. Okay. So what is environmental medicine? It is not an alternative medicine. It is certainly unlike our traditional N2-D2 medicine. It's a newly emerging medical specialty. It focuses on dynamic relationship between individual and the environment. It draws from many fields of medicine to care for patients suffering from numerous unexplained medical illnesses. The primary concept is repetitious exposure to foods and as well chemicals found in our food, air, water, drugs, and environment can adversely affect body functions and well-being. Now so when we talk about foods, there are a few, one critical question comes to my mind is, how do I eat right? Or how do I feed my kids right? And I've asked this question from numerous of my patients. I'm sorry to say that most of them failed. So I'm going to give you some quick pointers how to feed yourself right or your kids. Number one, which is it's only one point, and that is eat what will rot, R-O-T, eat what will rot and do it before it does. Means fresh meats, fruits, vegetables, grain, green beans. Anything that's additive, preservative, coloring dyes, canned meats, canned fruits, canned vegetables, no good for you. So in other words, you should avoid SAD diet. This also I have asked my patients, what is meant by SAD diet, and most of them do not know what SAD diet is. SAD diet is standard American diet, full of additive, preservatives, coloring dyes, canned meats, canned fruits, canned vegetables. So that is our SAD diet. So how do you apply it to your real life? I'm going to give you some tips about that. Number one is, don't think in terms of hamburger, pies, and fries. Think in terms of how the foods come in. Number one category of foods is the meats. Okay, so you can have meats of all kinds except sausage, ham, hot dog, luncheon meats, because they added preservative, corn sugar, and other stuff, extenders, etc. added to it. Second category comes the vegetables. You can have vegetables of all kinds. Number three is the fruits. You can have fruits of all kinds. The fourth category is herbs and spices. Use all the herbs and spices to make your food delicious, so you can stick to the diet, you see. next category is the nuts. You can use nuts of all kinds, unprocessed or roasted is okay, but without other additives and sugar and etc. etc. And next category is milk and milk products. Yeah, you can have them, but after infancy, no animal needs milk. So find the substitute for milk, but you can have some milk now and then, but don't use it as a main food, or having 8 ounces of milk a day or something like that. Because one of the things people say, well, we're taking milk because of calcium. Well, let me tell you, the interesting thing is that most of the calcium in the milk is not in the absorbable form, and over 90% is water, so you're buying at milk prices, and the fat is saturated kind fat that causes hardening of the arteries, and the protein it has is that's the main source of allergy to milk. And the next thing left over is the milk sugar. Many people are intolerant to that, 20 to 50%. They may get gas, belching, bloating, indigestion by taking milk. So basically, there's no good rationale of having large amount of milk products after infancy. So these are the food that they come in: meats, fruits, vegetables, grain, green beans. Prepare the way you want with herbs, spices, everything to make it delicious to stick to your diet. You see. Now, the second thing I want you to take home to ponder on is, what is quality medical care? Environmental medicine defines the quality of medical care. If you treat the cause, let me give you an example. Let's say you got headaches, okay? If we can treat the cause for your headaches, what's going to happen to your headaches? Well, obviously they're going to gone. Okay, so when your headaches are gone, what will happen to all the medications you've been taking, or rushing to the emergency room and all this stuff, with severe headaches? They'll be gone. So quality medical care should get rid of your symptoms, fair deal. And number two, it should get rid of your drugs also, you see. So your medicine gone and drugs gone, what happened to you visit the doctors and other allied medical services, emergency room, etc.? They're gone. So really, you should, if you have chronic problem, you should focus your medical care around which accomplishes 3 goals: getting rid of your symptoms, getting your drugs, and getting rid of the physician. So, and this is quality medical care. Now, the third point I want you to ponder on is concept of everything affects everything. Let's say that I decide to have a cup of coffee right now. What the hoot you or anybody in the world could give? That's you can have it, you see. But if you really look at that, where that coffee was raised, how it was transported, how it came to your grocery store, and how it was bought from there, and how you use the electrical company to heat up the water, see how many people around affected. And in the process, the farmer who was raising the coffee and his family and children affected. You see, so one concept is everything affects everything. Now, when we bring to the body, if you have developed a chronic illness and you take the drugs, it's going to affect every function in your body. So therefore, the recovery requires that everything you do better be treating the cause instead of covering the symptom. That's okay if you got acute asthma attack right now to take the medication. I'm not opposed to medication. I'm not saying the medicine don't work. Medicine certainly work. And the key question that you have to answer is, are they really necessary? You see. So the final point in here is, what do you want to do if you have chronic illness? Symptomatic approach or treat the cause? So I leave up to you to decide that, you see. And here I'm going to give you some contact information. I'm going to leave it for a little bit in here for you to take it down. I'll be quiet for a minute. Okay, all right, okay. So now let's go a little bit the historical aspect. This amazes me that how pioneers in various fields, including environmental medicine, discovered things that we ordinary people are unable to discover. And it was the key question becomes, if you talk about hidden food allergy, how the hell anyone ever figured out that the people have hidden food allergy? And this goes back to Dr. Herb Wrinkle, who's one of the very pioneers in the field of environmental medicine. He came from a poor family, and when going through medical school, his father will send him a gross of eggs every week. So that was his main source of sustenance as far as the protein requirement were concerned. So as he going through medical school, he developed severe what we call allergic rhinitis, a lot of running nose, and he saw the specialist and everything he could do, but could not figure out what was causing the problem. So then he got out of the medical school, got into private practice, and he got a hunch that maybe eggs have something to do with my running nose. So he put a few eggs in a blender and drank, and nothing happened. So he forgot about that that's not the issue. Then as he got into practice and got a bit more social, so on his birthday, his wife has invited family, friends, and stuff like that, and she baked angel food cake, and he had a piece of angel food cake, and he fell unconscious on the floor. And all the friends around thought that it was a heart attack. Taken to the emergency room, nothing. He came out after a while. He came out of it. He was just fine. And Herb Wrinkle was a guy who has a passion for cause and effect relationship. So he said, why this happened to me, And what had happened was, which will be discovered a little bit down the road, is that after he came into practice, he was not that financially destitute. So eggs were not a part of his daily routine as they were when he was in medical school. So he thought maybe that has to do something with that. So he made sure that he didn't have eggs for a week, and then had egg and got the same reaction, brain reaction, which put him to not sleep but just unconscious reaction. And with that, he started to work on food allergies and trying to understand the mechanism. And this is how he discovered the undiscovered the hidden food allergy. And then for several years working on it, gradually he went through and came up with the concept of cyclical food allergy. What it meant was that clinically it's first presented as the mask stage. The second stage is when you eliminate. The third stage is the hyperacute stage, in which if you're allergic to a food, you're going to get a bad reaction. And if you keep avoiding that, then you're going to be going through decreased sensitization until you develop total tolerance. And now you can have at an interval of no more than once in 4 days, then you can do very good. But if you started having the foods again repetitiously, you will resensitize and come to the mask stage. So now you have completed the whole cycle of food allergy. So this fascinates me, that how these I just go through these things. Okay. Okay. Now, what are the symptoms of hidden food allergy? Although I just mentioned some to you, basically any chronic illness can be caused by food allergies. And I just listed a bunch of things: recurrent respiratory infections, coughing all winter, fatigue, irritability. I'm not going to read the whole thing, you know. Puffiness of the face, dark under the eyes, bags under the eyes, stuffy nose, muscle ache, joint pains, mouth breathing, hyperactivity, hard to live with, you know, short attention span, poor school performance, emotional problems, excessive sleeping, spots on the tongue, minimal brain dysfunction, depression, and so on and so forth. I'm left with 10 minutes. I can go on, but if you guys want to have some questions, please pop up the questions. And I'm getting into the little final stage. And here, what I talked about, but it is important to if something is very important, is worthwhile talking about again. So this is my 37 years of experience on origin and prevention and successful treatment of chronic illnesses. Most chronic illnesses result from environmental, nutritional, dietary, and hormonal factors. If you want to get rid of your symptoms, get rid of the drugs, and get rid of the physician, you have to pay attention to these factors. In addition, the same thing applies to family members, friends, and co-workers. Again, I will quote Albert Einstein: most fundamental ideas of science are essentially very simple and may be expressed in language comprehensible to everyone. And as to origin of chronic illness, it cannot get simpler than that, you see. Now, I will talk about, think about the cause for chronic illness from this perspective. When you are having symptoms, think that you're sitting on a tack, you know, tack nail, you're sitting on a tack. The tack law, number one, says that if you're sitting on a tack, it takes a lot of psychotherapy to make you feel good. The key is that you should take the tack out. Tack law number two states that if you're sitting on two tacks, removing one does not result in 50% improvement. And tack law number three says that if you're sitting on 5 tacks, even when you remove 4, daunting still hurts. So the key is you take all those tacks out and allow the body to heal, and then you can heal yourself without N2D2 medicine. Name the disease, name the drug approach. Okay. Now, there are food allergy references. I'm not going to go into all those details, but it just telling the medical literature is full of references. This is by Dr. Brostoff, says food allergy can mimic any symptom, just like we talked about. And then one of the more common problems in allergies are middle ear fluid in young children and recurrent ear infection, hearing loss. Again, references that the food allergy can be important cause for respiratory problems in children. And this the other reference, indeed, food allergy can cause any symptom you can think of, from asthma, bronchitis, emphysema, chronic rhinitis, Meniere's disease, chronic interstitial cystitis, on and on, you see. So basically, the key in here is that now with all this knowledge, there's no reason for you to suffer. You have to basically question that what my causes are. Is this something environmental, something nutritional, is something dietary? And lo and behold, you'll be surprised. Most of you can get better and get rid of your medicines and your symptoms when you follow this approach. So I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk. So I'm ready to take any questions if there are.
Thank you, Dr. Sultan. We appreciate your presentation. And we do have a question. A person wrote in, I heard your correlation between nutrition deficiency and mental health, or between nutrition deficiency and mental health. I may have missed this, but what is the direct link between allergies and mental health in your opinion?
Very, very good question. So I will rephrase this question and say, what are the causes for physical cause for mental illness? The answer is that most mental illness results from environmental, nutritional, dietary and hormonal factors. So in the field of environmental medicine, you're not the doctor of the organ that because I'm an allergist, so I'm just taking care of sinus and bronchial problem. In environmental medicine, because the environmental factors, nutritional, hormonal factors, they all interlink together and affect the body as a whole. Therefore, as an environmental physician, he has to specialize not only in the environmental medicine, that is just strictly environmental, inhalant foods and chemicals, but also has to specialize in nutrition and also in hormonal area. That's why in our practice we treat a lot of patients with low thyroid. We treat patients with male hormone deficiency. We treat female hormone deficiencies and B12 and folic acid and magnesium and zinc deficiencies, because that's the connection between the nutrition and the mental illness, and why an allergist in the field of environmental medicine will be involved in working on that, not look only and just deal the inhalants, foods and chemicals and not worry about anything else. Very good question.
Okay, we had another question about a person was making a mention that as part of a healthy diet, you didn't mention grains. Was there a reason you didn't mention that, or was that just an oversight?
I did mention that. Maybe I skipped it. So let's go over healthy diet. Meats, fruits, vegetables, grains, greens, beans, they're all part of healthy diet.
Okay, let's see if we can get some more questions here. Go ahead and click the link below the video window to get questions for Dr. Sultan. We'll go ahead and give him a couple minutes here until 2:30. We'll get some more questions in. I wanted to remind everybody that Dr. Sultan's going to come back to us on Wednesday, September 13th at 1:30 to do another web conference on understanding autism spectrum disorders on September 13th at 1:30 here at mimhtraining.com. I've got a question for you, just because I've got you and you're my captor. You know, I've got you captive for a moment here. So I've had personally had sinus issues and so forth since I've been very young, but I was recently out of the country for a few weeks, and I've noticed that has changed. As you're talking to me, I'm thinking, I've been in the back of my mind, I've been thinking about the fact that my sinuses have not been affecting me as much since I've been back as when I was gone, and I was wondering, I've been back for a few weeks now. So obviously, when I was out of the country, I ate differently because there's different things available, and I was in a different environment. And do you think that could affect you that way, and then will eventually go back to the way it was once I've been back home for a while?
A very good question. That's the classical example of being allergic to USA.
So I'm just allergic to the U.S., allergic to St. Louis and the river region, maybe?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, because that shows the environmental connection, that when you move one place to the other, so either it is inhalants or dust molds and stuff like that, or pounds or foods or chemicals in the environment. So that is one of the symptoms, that if you move out of the city, out of the country, you get better and come back, symptoms come back. That shows that something in your environment is causing the problem.
That's I never would have thought of that, to be honest with you.
Sure.
And since I've been listening to you here talking, it has been in the back of my mind for a week or so that everything is kind of a bit different, but I really didn't think of the cause and effect for being gone for a while. And so it's kind of interesting that there obviously was a difference, and I had in the back of my mind that there was a difference, but I didn't think about it in a forward way like when you're talking about it.
Very good.
So we have another question here. A person was asking if you had any colleagues in the Kansas City area this person is in the Kansas City area
Sure.
and would like to connect with someone?
Sure. Well, we are only in 400 to 600 physicians in the whole country, and Dr. Willoughby, he's in the Kansas area.
So you say Dr. Willoughby is in
Yeah.
Kansas City
Uh-huh.
area? Okay. And I'm guessing you could look that up online and be able to get
Yeah,
information
number, yeah.
for Dr. Willoughby. I also want to remind everybody that we have on October 12th a live conference called the Midwest Autism Conference. It'll be held here in St. Louis, Missouri at the Holiday Inn Route 66 on October 12th. You can get, there's a link at the bottom of the page if you want to get some more information or register for that as well. And let's see if we got any more questions here. I'm trying to think of any other personal things too to ask you
Yeah.
because I got you here. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So the other another question I have for you is, so as folks age, obviously these allergies change. With the what is the factor that age plays in this as well? So as you even from childhood to adulthood, and then from adulthood into kind of elderly or older adulthood. What does that arc look like? Is it dramatic, or how is that?
Well, generally it is a slow progression. You see, you should know that it comes into the realm of aging. How do we age? And you had asked a very, very good question. We all age slowly, you see. And how do we age? So let's discuss that. There's one thing we know, that oxygen is essential for life. Without oxygen we die, you see. But one thing we don't realize is it exactly because of the oxygen that we die, you see. Aging is an oxidation process. If you look at oxidation, what it is if you leave some nails outside, they get rusted. If you cut the peach, it becomes rotten. How does it get rotten? Because oxygen from the environment combined with the molecules. You see, the oxidation process is a spontaneous process, doesn't require any energy. On the other hand, to protect you from oxidation, the opposite is reduction or antioxidant, you see. So if you want to remain healthy for as long as possible, there are certain things you need to do. So think logically. If you want to do something, if you keep all your organs healthy, you're going to remain healthy. If you do something that keeps your tissues healthy, will keep your organs healthy. To keep your tissues healthy, you need to have all your cells healthy. To keep all cells healthy, you got to have all the molecules in there healthy. So basically, the aging comes down to at the molecular level, and that's where the oxygen takes place. That's why you've heard in the nutritional area, take antioxidant, take antioxidant, take antioxidant. What does that mean? And what that means is that because we are exposed to oxygen all the time, and our body is oxidizing. So when an antioxidant, which promotes the reduction process, so that slows down the oxidation. So if we oxidize ourselves more slowly, we'll be living longer and living healthier. So all the environmental factor things you eat, think, breathe, you come in contact with, they eventually produce an oxidative stress. So to keep that oxidative stress, you got to have take the causative factors away, what you eat, what you breathe, and come in contact with, clean them up of those. And number two, you have to take antioxidants to slow down your aging process. Very good question.
Okay, we have one last question here, and the person was looking for if you had any recommendations on an overall book or books that a person could read up on the topic more.
Yes, very good question. The pioneer book in this, you can still get it on Amazon, is by Dr. Theron G. Randolph, and alternative approach to allergies. And then there are an alternative approach to allergies by Dr. Theron, Theron, Randolph, Randolph. And then depending upon what part of the environment you need help is, for example, if you have chemical sensitivity, there are a lot of books that will talk about how to create a clean home environment and work environment. If you have a problem with the food allergies, there are a lot of books will give you recipes and rotation diet, which means don't eat a food more than once in 4 days. So you can search on the internet and you can get several books, or you can call my office. We have the list of books over there. We can give you. My office number is 314-921-5600. 314-921-5600.
Okay, we have another question for you.
Oh, good.
How do I determine if food allergies are causing mental health problems?
Very good. We discussed what you should. One thing, write it down. I'll give you time to write it down. Okay. Most of the food, I mean, any food can food allergy, but in my first stage, the most common foods that I want to see causing the problem are milk, egg, wheat, corn, sugar, yeast, and soybean. So you avoid these foods. So what do you eat? Simple. Just make life simple. Just have everything home prepared. Meats, fruits, and vegetables. You can live for 2 weeks, no problem with that. You see. After a week, start have milk and see what happens. Next day have wheat, next day corn, next day sugar, and yeast, so on and so forth. Yeast, you can get those yeast packets and have a couple packets in a glass of water. And for soybean, you can get soybean powder. Just mix a couple tablespoons in that and just drink and see what it does. So you will know with the elimination diet by the end of 1 week, see if any of your symptoms got better. And number two, when you add it, see if you got any symptoms. So it is very simple. It is doable at home.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Sultan. We appreciate you taking time with us today and talking about food allergies and mental illness. And we will see you on September 13th with Understanding Autism Spectrum Disorders right here on mimhtraining.com. Thank you very much. You have a good day, everyone. Have a good day. And we'll be sending a follow-up email to you with a link for the archive of this video, as well as the evaluation for Dr. Sultan. If you hadn't clicked the link below the video window to do that at this time, we'll send that link to you so you can do it a little bit later. Thank you all very much. You all have a good day, and we'll see you next time.